Welcome back. You're watching DT India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, a U.S. federal court on Wednesday blocked President Donald Trump's Liberation Day tariffs from going into effect. The court ruled that the president overstepped his authority by imposing across-the-board taxes on imports from nations that sell more to the United States than they buy. While the Trump administration minutes later filed a notice of appeal, and White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller rebuked the court in a brief social media post saying the judicial coup is out of control. The Manhattan-based Court of International Trade said the U.S. Constitution gives Congress exclusive authority to regulate commerce with over countries that is not overridden by the president's emergency powers to safeguard the U.S. economy. At least 5 other legal challenges to the tariffs are pending. Well, also, Trump has claimed broad authority to send tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which is meant to address unusual and extraordinary threats during a national emergency. Trump's on-and-off again tariffs, which he said are intended to restore U.S. manufacturing capability, have shocked U.S. financial markets. Also, U.S. stock futures dumped and the dollar gained against safe haven pairs, including the yen and Swiss franc on Thursday, after a U.S. federal court blocked President Donald Trump's Liberation Day tariffs from going into effect. The Trump administration has appealed the ruling. S&P 500 climbed 1.5% and the U.S. dollar rallied broadly against the euro, yen and Swiss franc. Well, billionaire Elon Musk announced that his term as the chief of the Department of Government Efficiency has come to an end, thanking U.S. President for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. Musk concluded his tenure as a special government employee tasked with leading a high-profile push to streamline federal bureaucracy. Musk's departure follows closely on the heels of his public criticism of Trump's signature legislative proposal, a sweeping tax and immigration bill the president has dubbed his Big Beautiful Bill. Musk's 130-day mandate as a special government employee in the Trump administration was set to expire around 30th of May. The administration has said DOJ's efforts to restructure and shrink the federal government will continue. And for more on all this, we have Akshay Dongre joining us. Well, Akshay, this ruling seems like a big deal. What happens now to Trump's tariff? Will they be on hold at the moment is another big question. And what precedent does this ruling set in terms of limiting presidential powers under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act? And what kind of ripple effect could this have on future trade policy strategies?
Well, what we are going to see once again is the Supreme Court versus the White House that has, happened, that has transpired earlier as well. It's not just Donald Trump who has had, tensions with the Supreme Court, but on several issues, on several rulings where Supreme Court.
Akshay, are you with us? As we know that
the presidential office is stepping its boundaries, so that is one key issue. But in the U.S., what we have seen is what we have seen in the precedent and in the past is clearly that Supreme Court of the U.S. is unlike the Supreme Court of many other countries, a very, very powerful institution. Many of the rulings of Supreme Court cannot be either influenced or in any manner challenged, and that is perhaps the reason why earlier as well and even now what we are seeing is a tussle between the White House and the judiciary of the country. This in the last tenure of Donald Trump, this was one of the issues when it comes to migrant policies. But now again we are seeing this tussle. So as far as the future impacts are concerned of this, we'll have to see that how the ruling goes and how the intervention of the Supreme Court is going to influence the decision of Donald Trump, or whether he's going to double down as far as his attacks against the court are concerned, claiming that there is a judicial coup taking place in the U.S.
Yes, Akshay. Okay, another big news is of Elon Musk stepping down after just a few months, especially after calling out the president's big legislative plan, raises some eyebrows. How much of a real impact did he actually have on cutting the government waste, and was this more symbolic than substantial?
Well, even more important, point here is the fact that it's sort of a deja vu situation right now as far as Trump administration is concerned. We had seen in the first tenure of Donald Trump as well that many of the trusted advisors that he had brought in, later either quit his team or even several of these team members also became his critiques as well. We have seen that how the bonhomie between Elon Musk and Donald Trump began on a very high note. When there was an assassination attempt against Donald Trump, Elon Musk was one of the most prominent figures inside America who rose to announce their support to Donald Trump. But now it seems that that entire chemistry has fizzled out, and once again we are going to see new faces coming in. But as far as real impact is concerned, yes, the Department of Government Efficiency did start to have some impact, and also there were some cutting of federal funds that was being done on from over expenditure. But how much of a real impact on the country it had, well, it would have taken a lot more time for it to have.
All right, with all this legal drama around the tariffs and high-profile exits like Elon Musk's, what can we make out of the situation within the administration when it comes to pushing through its economic agenda, and what does his exit actually signify here?
Well, it's quite hard to do that, Lipakshi. But what we can expect is another round of tension, first of all, between the court and the executive, and then also we'll have to see that how new teams are inducted, and whether Donald Trump is going to turn down his quite aggressive policies that he's making as far as economics of the country is concerned, along with the export and import and the financial partnership that the US has with other countries.
All right. Thank you so much, Akshay, for all those insights you gave.